Hi everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Talks. I would say the latest series of the Talks. Yes, for the past 2 months we have not released videos, but I was personally focusing on newsletters. I hope you love those newsletters. But this is the new series of the Talks where we will be specifically talking about certain things. Okay, Rajit, so you have done 2 series. What is this new about this series? What are the new things you are doing? Yes, that is the purpose of this first part of the video where we will be talking about what exactly we are trying to do in this new series. Before going into the depth of the new series, it's very important to understand, okay, what I was thinking, what can I give the name of this new series? What is something? So it came to my mind a very important thing, and I used that word. It just within a split of a second it came into my mind, and I thought of using that word, abundance. So the new series, as I name it, is called the Abundance. Now, what do we mean by the abundance? When I talk about abundance, it's something which is more, which is there. It's a huge number. Right, here in this series specifically, we'll be talking in 2 parts. The first part of this series of the talks, which we are starting from today itself, we will be talking about first part, the mental abundance, and the next part of that is one which we call from a financial abundance perspective. Yes, in the mental abundance perspective or mental abundance part, we'll be speaking about certain facts on how we can, or as I say, the mental abundance is basically the pursuit to happiness. I am a work in progress on whatever I learned, whatever I try to make a video of that. In that, there will be parts of that, different phases over there. This is one of the first episode of the mental abundance part, right? And the next part of the financial abundance, yes, you guessed it correct. In this part, a lot of people have told me you are not making videos on investments and all those things. So yes, it's not from a perspective of what to invest, what not like that. It's like the psychology on the basis of which we basically do the investment, about that from a financial abundance perspective. What exactly psychology of money, and a lot of other things. What is value investing? How do you do that? All those stuffs. My thought process. It's not about any technical analysis or something or numbers. Nothing. It's just a simple vanilla way of understanding what exactly you mean by financial abundance. So, are you talking about fire? We'll talk about it when you see those episodes. But let's start the first episode of this series, The Abundance. And the name of this episode is basically, I name it as the power struggle. Now, what do you mean by power struggle? You're going to talk about power? Are you going to? So in this episode, what I'm going to talk about, basically in this episode, I'm going to talk about, have you ever thought of a situation where when you get angry, the problem didn't get solved? Instead, in a different situation, when you handle it without an anger, the situation got solved. Now, here comes the basis of the concept of the power struggle. What do you mean by it? So, for example, these are the learnings which I have realized and what I personally follow right now. Anger is one type of emotions which can be controlled. Now, there's certain situation where you should not confuse anger with speaking up for something. When you speak up of something, the tone in which you talk, it's not related to getting angry. So don't get confused. We're not talking about from a perspective of speaking up, but I'm talking from a perspective of when we're having a conversation. When we use anger as a part, we basically, at that moment, we are stopping because we are not getting any other mode of communication. So I use this statement, when you use anger, you actually are not using a mode of communication. Now, what happens? What is the psychology? What happens in the opponent person's perspective? The thing is, when you see a person, that person is trying to make you angry and talking in an angry tone. Basically, at that moment, the person wants to make you come into a power struggle. Now, what is basically power struggle? Power is something where that person wants to show you what exactly he can affect you, so that he can feel superior by letting you. So if you react, that person will be able to come to a power struggle. Generally, from our psychology of people, we don't come into a power struggle with people without getting their consent. This is how our psychology is. So if somebody tells you like, okay, I'll kill you, or maybe something, I'll just do something to you, and you react, right? At that moment when you react, that person has achieved its motive. When you react and communicate in a way of anger, it actually, what it draws is, it makes that person comes from that situation. Okay, yes, now I'm having a power struggle with X. Now, even if at that moment you do a power struggle with him, and if he or she wins, there comes the next part, which we talk about, the revenge. Every power struggle has a revenge associated with it. That person at that moment will come into a mode where he or she will be operating in a mode of revenge, will try to make your life more harder, will try to make it in order to show that, yes, in that power struggle, which was the phase one, I have come into a revenge part. So every communication where you use anger as a mode, it's not at all a communication. Instead, okay, you are talking about the problem. How do we solve? We all have that. I also have that. Everyone. When somebody shows that, okay, you want to show this? Yes. So anger people use when that person wants to show that the other person is actually inferior to that. That is one objective I've realized. People generally comes into a way of thing, like not a discussion maybe, but in a part makes you to react so that that person can come into a power struggle position with you to show who is more powerful. Now, in that moment, even if you win that, as I said, you go into revenge mode, and that communication exists for a long span of time. That person will go to your limits, and I'm not saying but it's all about interpersonal relationships, right? And at that moment, that revenge gets extended for a long span of time. That is what we are talking about. Now, what is the solution to it? The biggest solution to it is, when you are seeing that a person is trying to make you go in that part, you need to stop at that moment and understand. It's not always that when you seeing that the other person is trying to get into a power struggle with you, even if you win, that means you're winning. No. Every power struggle has a revenge associated with it. It comes back to circle one. Because at that moment, you're in a mode of that. So what you should do, you should basically not react and actually go into that anger mode. Instead, use your communication. Anger is an emotion. Use your communication and not try to have anger being involved to it and try to solve it. If you do in that way, understand that other person's motive was to make you react to it, but you responded to it. That's the difference between reacting to a conversation and responding to a conversation. Why I made it as a first part of my video, because one of the important thing what happens is, when you have a heated arguments or anger as a part of your emotion, that affects a lot in your mental well-being. So next time when somebody actually wants to make you go into a power struggle, just take a pause and understand what is the goal of that person. The goal of that person is to make you come into the power struggle and take a revenge. Till then, this was the first episode of Detox, hence it was long with introduction and all. From the next time, we will be focusing more and more about the other episode. Stay tuned, and I hope you like this series. I want to make it more contentful, so give your feedbacks and let me know how I can improve and the contents can be made more curated. Till then, have a wonderful week ahead. Hope you have a wonderful time, and as always, understand this thing. Always be abundant in life and realize this. Everything is going to be good. It's going to be the best because you're the best creation of God. Till then, stay tuned and please subscribe, give your comments, like, and if you like it, please share, because let's make world a beautiful place and a happy place. Till then, signing off.